James, thank you very much for joining me onto my podcast. I'm super happy to have you here. You seem like someone that is very passionate about beekeeping, and you're also the founder of your charity, Beekeeping for Hope. One thing that intrigued me a lot about what you do and who you are is that you seem to have a real love for bees and for wasps and for pollination and all of these sorts of topics. Um, so I thought I'd just kick off with where does your love for this world come from?
Cheers for having me, Jake. So it basically comes from when I was a kid. We weren't the richest of like families, so I used to just sit in the garden and I just play with ladybirds, ants, woodlice, bees, all sorts of things. And I was a bit slow learner with regards to reading and stuff. So I used to just learn it from like watching what they're doing, and then that sort of passion grew there really from like a really young age, like pond dipping as well, that sort of stuff.
So it's funny because I grew up in the countryside and I was always outdoors and I just hated them. Like they were like the scary things for me as a child that it was like, oh God, like this is all great fun and everything, but I wish the bloody wasp would go away. What was it for you as a child that made you think, oh, actually these guys are pretty cool?
It's just that they're just so fixed on their world. Everyone's scared of like spiders, but a spider just wants to build his web and make food and reproduce and stuff like that. Try to catch food. So it's just like just observing them. And I just really enjoyed watching that. And I had sort of massive respect for them as well. Like say with wasps, as much as I don't like it when they kill my bees, because they do that every now and again.
Mm.
They do it for a reason because there's probably too many honeybees in that area. So it's a circle, and they need to knock those numbers down to make more food for bumblebees because honeybees will just take out the entire area of pollen. So there's none for the native bumblebees and lawn bees and hoverflies. So wasps control their numbers in a way. But it is quite sad when they do that, but it's just what happens. It's one of those things.
I was once told a quote that if you eliminate all humans from the world, then the world would thrive. And if you eliminate all bees from the world, then the world would die.
Yeah,
What's your take on that?
totally.
What
Literally,
is
any
there an
insect.
explanation for that?
Well, since any insects in the way, like take away earthworms, and you're not going to have fertile soil, so you can't grow trees and plants. So all insects are vital for like our survival in a way. As you know, bees. I think 1 in 3 foods we eat is pollinated by a bee. So take away bees, you got rid of pollen, you got rid of all the natural stuff in the environment. So all insects have their role. It's like if they took ants away, there'd be just so much mess everywhere because ants tidy up all the mess. So we need all these little insects to help us to live, basically.
So let's say I'm a city boy that's
Yeah.
grown up in the concrete jungle, and yeah, I'm not really sure what a molehill is, or I wouldn't be able to recognize these sorts of things. Um, Nothing against city boys out there, just just an odd perspective. What would you say to me as a city person as the main role of bees in our world that we live in?
So the main role of bees is it basically keeps the world ticking over. So, like I say, they pollinate the flowers, they keep flowers going, they help produce all the food we eat. Of course, they produce honey. So it's quite a tough question to answer really. But 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 yeah, it's just mainly the food they produce, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
So
it's quite a tough one to answer.
they work because I know that they work by pollinating from different plants, but what actually is the process of pollination and how does that benefit planet Earth?
So I've got a little bee figure here. I'll use it. This is a drone bee, so I use this. So basically, a drone bee will fly along. Well, not a drone bee, but say this is a worker bee because drones don't pollinate. So, say a worker bee's flying along to a flower. She sticks in her little tongue and she gets out the nectar. And while she's doing that, there's electrodes on her. She's a negative. She's negative or positive, and the pollen's the opposite. So it sticks to her legs. She brushes it across, and when she goes to the next flower, that pollen goes into that flower, and it keeps going along, along, along. So then they're all pollinated for their seeds for the next generation of plants. And while this bee will go back to her hive, and the pollen comes off, and they turn it into bee bread, and the bee bread is fed to their young. I can't remember the rest of the question.
No, that's brilliant. That's great because I didn't even know where to start with that one. So you've already kicked me off to a great start. And
Oh,
you're also an interesting guy for me because you're a man of faith and
yes, I am.
you're clear in what you do in your life is very altruistic and looking to help others.
Yeah,
I was wondering that what you do with beekeeping for hope. First, would you be able to help me out with just explain a little bit about what it is you do, and yeah, how that helps the people that join you?
cool. Yeah, so as a man of faith, the word tells us to help the poor, help the poor, help the widow, and help the hungry. So my friends is a one of my best friends. He runs the charity Hope For. You might have seen him on LinkedIn. Really good guy. So he invited us out to Moldova about 2 years ago to see what he does. And I've never seen poverty like that before, ever. It was awful. Like their house was powered by a car battery, their bed was covered in mold. There was one dad looking after these kids. The wife had died, so he's at work all the time. The kids are just fending for themselves at home. So when I got back, I thought, how can I help? So I started to do fundraising, but then it didn't go off anywhere. So I got into beekeeping because I forage, I love insects. So kind of I went down the beekeeping route. And when I went down that route, I decided to do beekeeping to help others. So it started with every jar of honey we sell. So when I got the bees, I took the honey off, jarred it up, sold it, and all that profit goes went to Hope For. It did go to a charity well, an orphanage, sorry, in Uganda and an orphanage in Pakistan as well. But that's another story because that went a bit pear-shaped. But yeah, so we started with just the honey. So every bit of honey jar we sold, they went straight to Hope For, and they helped other people. We bought a fridge for a family. We supplied shoes, food. It's only like £200 every couple of months from the honey sales. So and then once that was going on, we became an official charity February this year. And then we decided to do workshops as well to teach people what we know. And it was this home education community, like schools and the elderly. Um, so yeah, so every aspect we do goes to help someone else in some way. Mm.
Yeah, it's brilliant, and I've seen that a lot of the people that you're helping are young children to educate them about
Yeah, lots.
nature and the way that the world works. What is it that you personally want to deliver to these sessions? Because I've seen that you connect beekeeping with mental health, and
Yes.
I was wondering how you drew the connection between the two.
So it's from my own sort of experience, really. So when you open a beehive, everything around you, the noise of the world, all your stresses and everything, it's just gone. You're so focused on that down there. That's the beehive because you're standing over it. It's such a crazy but organized little world these bees are in. So when you're beekeeping, when you're going through the frames, you're pulling some frames out, you're trying to find if they're all healthy, if they got any disease. You're so focused on that, the noise of the outside world just goes away. So we opened it up to, well, through the Aruka project, which in Hebrew means healing and restoration. So the Aruka project contacted me and saying, can we sort of get in on this with helping to rehabilitate ex-offenders, people with trauma in their life, people with bad upbringings, so they can come to my apiary, which is what they call a bee area, really, with all your beehives, it's called an apiary. And they come down. It's a calming environment, so it's nice and calm, full of nature. Like you've got wrens singing, you've got chaffinches, you've got blackbirds, you've got bees flying around, grasshoppers, crickets. So it's a really chilled, relaxed area anyway. and then we just go through beekeeping together. And if that person has a little spark of an interest, I haven't had one yet, but if they do, then I'll help them as best I can to take on beekeeping, to maybe have a little hive at my apiary in the corner where they can just come down and just escape the world for a couple of hours and just look at their bees.
And has it helped you personally with your own mental health going into beekeeping and being so focused on the hive?
I guess so. I'm always quite a happy person anyway. I don't tend to let things bog me down too much. Like, we can go into it later if you want. A lot of the backlash I've had from doing this charity is it's to some people it make them give up. But me, I'm like, nah, do you know what I mean? It's just how the world is, isn't it? And when someone's getting a bit successful in one way and other people come onto it. Um, but the only way I think of it in a way is when I go down to my bees, I can be there for, I don't know, 4 hours. I don't even know 4 hours are gone. It's not until the wife's texting me saying, where are you? We want to go out sort of thing. So, but I guess it is quite calming, but it can be stressful in a way sometimes when you go to inspect your bees and you think it's a nice straightforward, just have a look at the frames, make sure the queen's in there, she's laying eggs, there's no disease. Like I went into one the other day. You've got two sections, so you've got a big brood box at the bottom, and you've got a divider in between the brood and the honey, so the queen can't go through and lay eggs in all your honey. It's called a queen excluder. But one of my inspections, I was checking the honey and they're full of eggs. So she squeezed through somehow. And I was there for hours trying to find her. So it's stuff like that you don't know what to expect when you open that colony. Like I opened one last week and it was empty because wasps have raided it and killed everyone. So it's just stuff like that. So I wasn't there that long that day because they're all dead. But
Wow. So you really don't know what you're getting depending on each hive.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can see them flying in at the front at the entrance, just flying into their pollen, but that doesn't mean it's a healthy hive in a way. So yeah, as soon as you go in there, you don't know what you're going to get. So
Now, your kindness is clear in everything you do, and there has been one instance where that kindness was abused by a fake charity. Um, what's the story there?
so when I was supporting Hope 4, so it was LinkedIn in the early days. So I was supporting Hope 4 through LinkedIn. I got a message from a little guy in Uganda. Can I name this guy? Yeah, I guess I will, yeah. So his name was
Yeah,
Robert
you can
Sonoga.
do it. You like, yeah.
I call, yeah. So his name was Robert Sonoga, and he reached out to me saying, please, brother, can you help me? And because he knows a man of faith as well, he speaks to you like God has told me to come to you and all this. Please help us. So I didn't know anything about fake charities or anything like that. So I was like, yeah, of course I'll help you. So we dedicated a beehive to this charity. It was called the Green Light Foundation Orphanage. Um, and over 2 years we supported him. So of course we had a hive, or two or three hives going to Hope 4. So all the honey from them hives went to Hope 4, and he had a couple going to him. And it wasn't until earlier this year that I got contacted by a lady called We Will Not Be Scammed, saying, do you know that this man who you're supporting is an animal abuser? And I was like, I didn't know that. Because they have a dog shelter as well, and their sister runs it called Nakia. And I was like, okay, so I don't, I'm not like blast out, no, you're a load of rubbish or thing. I listen to people, so I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do a bit of research into this. And it turned out it was true. So what he would do, I did notice things though, but I didn't pick up on it. Like when he sent me photographs, when I first got pictures from him, they were all grainy and really bad quality. But as I kept on sending him money, the quality was perfect, like HD quality pictures. And I thought, how's he got that? And he had a nice flashy watch as well. But I didn't put two and two together. And it turned out that there was no orphanage. It was just this man called Robert Sonoga, the brother, used to get all the people in the village, all the children, and have a photograph of them. They painted me a sign like Beekeeping for Hope with a really good painting, to be fair. So it seemed really genuine to me. But they were just kids from the village told to come up there and they'll give them sweets and stuff like that. And the dog side of it, his sister runs. They tried to get me to put money in my account, and the little alarm bells are ringing then. And they do terrible things to dogs. They will beat these dogs, drag them behind cars, and then say, "Look, please help this poor dog," sort of thing. Please help us. And they've done that to the dog. And they get thousands and thousands of cat money in. It's ridiculous.
Man, this is
So
crazy.
I stopped it. So I stopped it.
Wow. Okay, so how long were you giving money to this fake charity?
So I was giving them money for, so we started, it must have been nearly 2 years. And it was only from honey sales. So they're only getting probably in a year, I think it was maybe about just under £500, something like that. But to them, that's quite a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money out there. And
Yeah,
obviously they're building a rapport with you, so there's a lot of sort of psychological and
yeah,
uh, linguistic stuff where they've got to be really smart with it. What would you say are like key things people can look out for these sorts of charity scams? Because this is the first I've heard of it as well.
yeah. So what can I? Yeah. So when the person approaches you, it's mainly on LinkedIn to be fair, because that's where all like they see that as the businessmen on LinkedIn. You know, I'm not a businessman. So I mean, I haven't got thousands of pounds, but they find people on LinkedIn and they play in your heartstrings by showing you these children who aren't what they seem, and these animals as well. If you go to TikTok and research that same person, 9 times out of 10 they've got a TikTok account. So Robert Sanoga, for example, go to TikTok, type his name in, and he's living the high life. He's got flash cars, he's drinking all these like champagne and wine and stuff. And that's what I say. It's the key words as well. So they call you, if you're a man of faith, they call you brother or sister. Please help. We need money. We need this, and they give you fake receipts. And like I say, the quality of the images was just improving over and over and over time. And I thought, how's he getting afforded a new phone? But he did because he was getting money. So,
That's so hard. Did you get to a point where you're thinking, ah, you know what? This person's been scamming me for 2 years. Uh, you must have. Yeah, I know that you dedicated a hive to them as well.
yes.
At that point, did you want to quit?
Um, it wasn't really that what made me quit. It was the backlash from the public what made me nearly want to quit. And there's a really big beekeeper in the UK. So you type in beekeeping, this guy's going to come up. His name's Lawrence from Black Mountain Honey, and he really supported me for it. He's like, hats off to James for coming out publicly and admitting that he's been fooled, sort of thing. I mean, I didn't get money out of people because they bought a jar of honey, and that money from that jar went to Uganda, so they got a jar out of it. So it wasn't like I was getting money off them and sending their money away. But the backlash came from certain other beekeepers in this area. And they started spreading allegations about me that I'm a con man, that I'm not fit to educate people, my bees are all diseased. And where my bees are kept up in Horndean in Blendworth Hills, um, I work at the site as well. So I work there and my bees are there. So they found out my boss and they told him all this stuff that they shouldn't trust me and that. But my boss is like, do you know what, James? We know you sort of thing, so we're just going to ignore it. But that was only the start of it. I mean, and it's only recently just stopped in a way. So, but yeah, it was just the reaction of the people, really.
This sounds like turf wars in the beekeeping world. This
Yeah.
is this is like hive wars. I thought that it would be quite a supportive community of beekeepers, but what do they have to gain from kind of putting you down?
Exactly. I don't know. It's since I became official and a charity status because a lot of beekeeping associations are charity status as well. And whereas they charge, say, about £90 to bring people into their hive, one person, I charge about 15 because I need to get some money in to help the bees because I can't afford to look after them on my own, on my wage. So I do it that way. So they buy a workshop off me, I take them in for an hour, then that money goes back to looking after the bees. Um, but it's kind of I see it as the green eye monster, so it's kind of like a jealousy thing, I guess, because I'm doing things they should be doing, and it's mainly the older beekeeper as well. Old, I'm talking about like 70 plus, whereas the younger beekeepers get on really well together. We all share ideas, we do new techniques, but the older ones don't want to know. They're done it, they don't want to know. And when bees come on their turf from another apiary, they see it as big competition. And there are things like beekeepers will go into other beekeepers' apiaries and push their hives over. So mine is laced with CCTV just in case that happens.
Wow, I did not know this about the beekeeping world. This sounds like hot competition.
Yeah.
We're out in like FTSE 100 over here. Wow. Okay. Um,
But there are loads. I've got some trustees, and they are really good beekeepers. They're a bit younger than me, so I'm 43. So one's 30, 39, another one's 42. Um, we get on great, you know. I mean, we all share ideas. We don't criticize each other. We just help each other with our bees because sometimes you don't know what's going on with your bees. You need some help. So yeah, there's plenty of good ones out there, but not too many.
Now, you have an interesting perspective on children and the next generation coming through because you're helping them connect to nature and you're talking to them a lot to help these kids understand the world and themselves. Um, these days, a lot of children they're on their screens, they're on their technology. I also know that you home educate your sons, so I was wondering what your view is on children and the system that they're in at the moment.
Well, I think school nowadays it was a lot different from when I was at school. It was a lot more faith-based in a way. So I remember we going to assembly, we sing hymns and stuff, and there was no technology. It was all just writing on your pads and stuff. And there's a lot of stuff pushed in schools what we didn't really want to have our kids around. So my wife, when the lockdowns happened, we kept our kids on. They stayed at home. My oldest was bullied at school, so he struggled anyway, trying to integrate with people. But now he's fine. He absolutely loves it. Um, they're not too keen on bees though, because my youngest got stung here. My oldest got stung, I think, on his arm, and since then they don't want to know. But I'm not pushing it on them. If they want to come in, they can. As for like workshops and stuff we do, I get a lot of children who are petrified of bees, absolutely petrified. So before we go in there, I say you can't wave your hands around. You can't shout or scream because it affects the bees. It's the frequency, the movement, they don't like it. All the guard bees will come up and have a pop at you. So I try and build the confidence up with my drone bee. So that's the model again. So drone bees are male bees. They're big fat bees, and massive big compound eyes. So they can see all around them to find the queens, and they don't sting. So to break their confidence, so to improve their confidence around bees, I get them to hold a drone bee. So we find a drone bee in there, put it on their hand, and they'll literally just they're fascinated by this drone bee because they know it's not going to sting them. And then once that's out of the way, we can go into the hive and we just look at nurse bees. Nurse bees are reluctant to sting as well. It's the guard bees that will have a go at you. But if you're calm and, just a nice presence around you, they won't come up and bother you. They'll mainly go for the one who's going into the hive. So mainly me, they'll attack. But, but yeah.
What do you think is the importance for children these days to be connected to nature, to get absorbed in activities like this?
Oh, yeah, massively because a lot of people can't even tell the difference between a wasp and a bee. And I find that like fascinating. Even beekeepers can't tell the difference between a bee and a hoverfly and a hornet and a wasp. So I just find it's a sad lost connection we have with the outdoors now. 'Cause it's all built up with concrete and everything. That I just like to show kids that there's another world out there, one which it gets on fine by itself, but you've just got to go in there and discover it because there's bugs and insects everywhere. But, yeah, I think that's about.
James, thanks a lot. Thank you very much for coming on to this podcast and talking about your love for this world that I've been lucky enough to have an insight in for the past half hour. You've clearly got a huge passion for all of everything bees and pollination, and yeah, I've loved following you on TikTok and Instagram. So thanks a lot for coming onto the podcast, and I'll put links to everything that you're doing for Beekeeping for Hope in the description below. So if anyone wants to donate or look at getting involved, then they can find you there.
Cool. Thank you very much for having me.
Cheers, James.